So if you don't know, my name is Shane Fell, and this is where we talk about hair. I've been studying hair since 2006, and I first started wearing locks on my head and studying locks back in '99. So you can imagine I might have a little info for you. I just want to talk about the journey today. Like, I don't really have a huge plan. I kind of think the run and theme lately behind my chair, as well as in conversation with people, when we're speaking of the lock journey, we're talking, it's like this little mini ego death you go through, and everybody that's worn locks or wears locks knows about this. It's the thing that you go through. You might not call it that necessarily, but there's a huge point there. It's kind of funny that in the beginning it's happening extremely hard at the exact same time that you're caring for your locks a lot. And so this is kind of a theme of the journey that I've been wanting to touch on for a minute. So maybe I'll just ramble today. Come and sit down with me anyways. And I think that this part of the journey is my favorite part. I think this is why I've had so many sets on my head. This in conjunction with energy and energetics. I've taken sets off because somebody's palm rolled in them and I needed my own energy back. I've done all sorts of weird stuff. In fact, there's some weird stuff about even this set where I've kept it through some stuff and some big changes and some cool mental health stuff or whatever you want to call it. And then the ends are kind of fraying and falling apart at the same time that some stuff's happening. Anyways, energetics are a weird part too, and I love that part of locks. And this one aspect of part of the journey is the part that I really like to get into, because we go through this huge ego death that is different, that gives us confidence and self-awareness and awareness of other things around us that's different. Now, is that for everybody? No, not necessarily. And that's why I don't touch on a lot of the personal stuff with everybody, right? Because some stuff is just a style for some people, and that's fine. Locks can just be a style for some people if it needs to be. They won't get to forego the ego death that you go through, though. You just don't get to. So even though we're containing locks with crochet, say behind my chair most of the time, there's still this ego death that goes along with it. It doesn't really matter. And I guess maybe even people that wear synthetic faux locks might go through a little bit of it, that's their testing the waters and seeing what their family thinks and stuff. And there's probably a little bit of backlash in that, but wearing locks and committing to it and committing to the style is a different thing. And when you go through that, there isn't much that I can tell you to convey what happens inside of the journey where you fall in love with yourself. And it's funny because at the same time, everything's falling apart. And people are leaving your life, or maybe not even that harsh, but there's some weird shit, man. And not only that, you change completely. And there's this self-love and self-growth journey that you go through while your locks are growing as well. It's also part of this not knowing if the decision that you made is the right decision. At the same time, you love the decision that you made, and at the same time, you halfway wish you didn't make that decision. But you still love every bit of it, and then you go through all those parts. It's at the same time that all of your people are asking, why did you do that? Look at how messy it is. Are you ever gonna go work on it? What are you doing They don't know. They don't know what you're going through. They also don't, especially if you didn't start with crochet or didn't keep contained with crochet. That's a little bit less of an ego death, but highly no, you still go through it. So you don't get to skip that at all. It's just different. But when you just backcomb and palm roll in, or even I bet, and even with twists, we're just waiting for them to bud and get to the point where they're actually locking, and there's this transition point between it. There's this decision making. Are we committed? Ego death. Everyone else doesn't like it, and who gives a fuck about anyone else? But then our own personal power comes in, and we grow so exponentially. What I see behind my chair when I do locks with people, when I am allowed to be part of somebody's journey, I'm always honored with that, no matter how long it is, because of this simple fact that this journey, it's weird to think of in a mental health perspective. If the act of having locks were put into that perspective of gaining personal power and paying attention to your own life and the decisions that you make and the impact that those have, as well as picking up the frequencies around you, knowing a room when you walk in it, just weird stuff that comes along with it. When all put together in conjunction with the same time that you're falling in love with yourself with this new hairstyle that like by the time you've come to that collection is about the same time that you don't really have to do so much work with them anymore. It's kind of funny how that works. And so then by that time you've hopefully built up a pretty good regime of self-care and self-love and like ways of like paying attention to that, as well as by a product of that you get this gauge in your life that tells you like, oh, it's time to self-care again. Oh, I haven't played music in a while. Oh, I haven't cleaned and folded all my drawers and thrown away the old socks I don't need anymore, and just dumb bullshit. I haven't dusted something in a little bit. Whatever it is, man, it's like, it's kind of cool in those things, like you get to gauge a little bit more of your other parts of your life as a byproduct of having this on your head. Throughout the growth of a journey of a person after they leave the chair or after they start locks is batting 100%. That's not just like leaving my chair or any of that. It's literally just like wearing locks that long gives you a different perspective on life, period. And it has nothing to do with my chair, but I just happen to have a job that I get to do that with. There's also a certain energetics that goes through with me, and that's like, I rarely have just a human being that sees dreads as only a style. I mean, like even when I just did hair and did hair color, I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, let's color your hair red if you want to color your hair red. No, man, we would talk for a little bit, homie. Like, are you going through a breakup? Did somebody die? It's cool if they did, but like, let's talk about some shit before we just jump into some red. Because that's bold. And so isn't dreads. So isn't shaving your head. Like, it's all very bold stuff, and they all kind of go together in a way. If it's batting 1,000, having locks and wearing locks, better mental health of a person, and like the fact that I am allowed to be a part of people's journey in this is incredibly honoring to me inside of my own being. It's an immense gratitude that I get to have every single client and every single journey that I get to be a part of, because I know from the journeys that I've had what that person's gonna go through as well as what I've watched. Does that mean that everyone's gonna have the same experience? Nope, not at all. You know why? Because we're human. So like blah blah blah. To be able to do this in hair was like something that I stumbled upon that the universe gifted me, and I'm grateful for it every single day, and I love being able to be a part of that. The fact that I can be a part of your journey from this screen is like, dude, even fucking cooler, man. Homie, I get to be a part of your journey too, and you get to be a part of mine too, because you know what? My journey like right now is doing this shit. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing on here. I'm having a fun time with it though, and I love playing music, and I love connecting with you guys, and I love being a part of your journey, and I love that you guys are a part of mine too. And I truly enjoy the journey of locks, period. Like the mental health inside of that, and then like the personal growth that happens inside of that. And there's people walking around that don't have locks on their head that know exactly what I'm talking about too, and that's the beautiful thing about it. And like when I'm in the chair and I'm giving a consultation, it's not stuff I can it's not stuff I generally talk about, because like I'll touch on it a little bit, but like you don't really get to know until you go through it. And it's like a couple years, homie. 3, give it 3. Give it a year before you decide to take them off. And the entire time, I beg of anybody in their life, the entire time in your life, if you don't like to be where you are, please just take the fucking needle out of the map and go, you are now here. What are you gonna do with that? Because like that's what happens in life. Locks help me do that all the time, man. Like so much in life that I remember my father even being like, dude, it's uncanny how you're able to just like be a part of life of where you are and like enjoy that part of the journey. Oh boy, I've been through so many fucking things, babes. So many things, babes. I've been through so many things. Different lives, whole different lifetimes and shit. Like, and I've touched on a couple. My thoughts on locks video. And that just touches on some of who I am and what I've been through, just a little bit. And I say been through, and the truth is like if these are my projectors creating the experience that I have, that I have currently created all of those experiences and lived multiple different lives. As a cat, have 9 lives. I've probably already lived 6. This one's pretty fucking rad, and I'm really stoked on the one that I live right now. And hedging this one now, this new one that you guys get to be a part of a journey. You guys are all people I've never even met, and I get to be a part of your journey, and you get to be a part of mine, and that's so cool, this new part of this journey. And I'm just stoked to have you guys along with it. And I guess I've wanted to convey this whole like idea of understand starting your journey that you're going to go through some type of ego death that's very close to a 15-year-old girl shaving her head in high school. Like very similar, and that's something of a personal growth that like only you get to go through in this journey, and only people that have been through the journey understand. And so understand that, as well as at the very end I'm gonna throw in this little personal thing that's really funny to me, man, when people react to locs, because it's gonna happen a lot, and it happens all the time, and it's in multiple different ways. Think of this for a second. Us in our DNA understand that like certain berries are poisonous and other mushrooms are poisonous, and some are good and some are bad. Like, and dogs understand that shit, and it's passed down through DNA, all that kind of shit. Ancestral experience is passed down through that as well, right? And we talk about ancestral traumas like stupid hippies talk about it all the time, and so do probably mental health professors, but it's a thing. And we get through this point of understanding that locks are the longest standing hairstyle known and remembered and written or understood, and this is even after the burning of Alexandria and all that stuff, right? Locks are the longest standing hairstyle, and every corner of the world has them in a similar space of either like highly spiritual or like royalty or warrior royalty kind of stuff. And I'm like, maybe the words are wrong on that, and you can break me if I'm wrong, whatever, I don't even really care. Oldest standing hairstyle. This is in our DNA to see locks in a certain way. This is why people react in a certain way. It's in their DNA to react a certain way to it. And so that's a thing. And so I'm gonna leave you on that point. I hope you enjoy your journey, and I hope you enjoy your little miniature ego death that you get to go through. And if you've already been through it, haha, raise your hands, babies. Throw me a comment in there. Let's talk about it a little bit. I always forget to say, hey man, it'd be cool if you guys liked and subscribed and commented and blah, blah, blah. But you guys are already doing all that shit. I don't feel like I need to say it a whole lot. So here's the end of it. And happy locking, peeps.
Surfing,